All right, welcome everyone to our team training tonight, which I've also opened up to other consultants on different teams because I think this is a great topic that so many people need to hear about. What we want to talk about tonight, we're going to hear from some amazing rock stars on my team who also work full-time. I know it can be hard to hear from, a lot of the leaders and home office that it does seem like this, is a business catered towards like stay-at-home moms. But, while it's a great opportunity for stay-at-home moms, it's an amazing opportunity for everyone. Personally, I do not work full-time out of the house. I'm home with my two kids. I used to be an engineer though. And I wasn't planning on going back to work. So I'm in a little bit of a different situation. But one of the amazing things about we have so many people doing great things in this business. So I feel really fortunate that I have great people on my team to refer to. So if I have like a potential recruit or another girl in my downline who, needs advice on work in this business while also working full time, these are, people I would send them to in a heartbeat because they are just rocking what they do. I will tell you that, let's see, so we have Megan Hoey, Thea Charles, Teresa Spittle, and Kimmy Bingham. They have been with us, let's see, Megan's been with me the longest. She's almost about a year and a half now, actually, into Lularoe. And Teresa, how long have you been with Lularoe?
October.
Yeah, so it's like about 7-8 months. So Teresa's the newest in this group. Among these four ladies, we have 2 coaches in queue and 2 who are really close behind. So trust me when I say these are the people that you should be listening to because they're doing an amazing job. So I will start with Megan, if that's all right with you, since you've been with us the longest. Megan was actually the first person to join my team. And we used to work together as chemical engineers. And she came to me and she, recognized this opportunity. So if you could just tell us a little bit about your story and some pointers on how you make this work for you, and sort of like avoiding the comparison trap to people who are doing different amounts of business based on, their positions.
Sure. So like Kara mentioned, I was the first recruit she had, and I just sort of, started seeing her post on Facebook and, had her come do a pop-up at my house. And I thought about it for a few weeks, and it was actually my boyfriend, Matt, who, I was concerned about the investment, but when he heard about the, the margins, he was just like, Meg, you need to do this. Just go for it. So I did. And like Kara mentioned, I'm a chemical engineer. I work full-time for the Army. And I actually do research and development in fibers and textiles. So it's sort of funny because it's also clothes, but a much different kind. That's stuff that helps the soldier when they're in the field. But that keeps me busy, obviously. It's a 40-hour week, 9 to 5 type job. And when I come home, I just try to, one thing that I've learned is don't stress yourself out. Like I used to think that I needed to get everything done and everything needed to be in order. Like I like to be an organized person, but a little chaos is okay. You just kind of have to roll with it. I'm kind of a hot mess tonight because I just played in 2 soccer games. So I really like to play soccer. I still do that 2 to 3 times a week. And I also just finished my master's degree. So there's been a lot going on. But like Kara said, the comparison trap is something to really stay away from. Like you don't always know what other people are putting in.
Mm-hmm.
Like I love my sleep. So like I'm not gonna stay up until 3 o'clock in the morning doing invoices or packaging things, but I know my teammate Terry, once everyone's in bed, that's when she like churns it all out, and she's awesome at that. But like that's not how I do it. And you don't know how other people, make their business work for them. So don't look at someone who, seems to like, be on the ball more than you, because they might just have a different situation where they're able to apply themselves differently than you're able to. I don't have any kids. I have a dog. She does go to daycare a couple times a week, but she's a lot less maintenance than any children would be. But still there's, just a balance. I think one thing that I always check myself with, I give myself a couch check. Like sometimes when I just come home and not really thinking about anything and I sit down on the couch, I make myself say, like, what could you be doing for Lularoe right now if you weren't just sitting on the couch? And there's usually things I can multitask with. I can grab the computer and I can relax and do some invoices or check in on my team. Or like tonight, the U.S. men's national team's playing Argentina, a big soccer game. And I'm just going to take pictures in the living room. I'm going to get my backdrop, bring it upstairs, and take pictures on top of the coffee table instead of downstairs where I can't see the TV. So you just have to find that balance. Don't compare yourself to anybody else, but also don't let yourself stress out. Like, I'm doing a 4th of July capsule collection tomorrow night, and I haven't taken any of the pictures yet. But I'm not going to sweat it, because if, all the Gracies don't get in the sale, whatever. Gracies don't get in the sale. And it's, it's not the end of the world, and just, roll with it. Do what works for you. And, I'm just going to keep chugging along like this. I don't really have any intentions of leaving my full-time job anytime soon. One thing I would like to do is that my boyfriend, Matt, he's in corporate accounting and he hates it and is like totally miserable. So it would be great if, Lularoe could give us the opportunity for him to get out of that and, sort of redirect his energy towards something that he does enjoy. He said many times that he wishes he could just sell women's clothes, and I told him that he can't. But I think that, just find what works for you. Don't compare yourself to others is the most important thing, because you don't know their situation, you don't know their story, and don't stress yourself out. Just roll with it, and like, you are doing great. If you're doing anything, if you're doing something for your business every day, you're doing great.
Wow, I think what I heard from you that I really want to repeat is like talking about your why. You probably hear, like, everyone who works full time is probably hearing a lot of people say, I want to leave my job. That's my goal. And, you don't. And you said that you would like to be able to help your boyfriend leave his job. So I think, that is like a really, generous opportunity that Lularoe gives us. It's just, so amazing that there are many like reasons why people are doing Lularoe. It's not the same for everybody. And I think it's really important to, think about your reasons and kind of let that drive you. And of course, things might change over time. So Thea, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Right, because Thea, I think at first Thea wasn't ever really going to leave her job, but
No, I wasn't. I was going to stay right where I was.
Yeah. And what happened? And how did you get there?
I don't know, my goals have changed. So I work in a histocompatibility lab, so we like match organs and stuff, and I'm the compliance officer. And initially when I started Lularoe, I basically wanted to do it because I wanted to be able to go on more family vacations. I kind of felt like we were spending a lot on daycare. I'm sure a lot of people might feel like we have 2 kids, and I work 40 hours a week plus commuting, so I'm like out of the house probably like 50 hours a week or something like that. And this was just supposed to be a supplement, and it worked that way. So when I did my parties, I did them when they worked for me. I do a fair amount of things online. I only do pop-ups in person like 4 times a month. I don't do too many, and I do them when it works, like after the kids' soccer. So I only do Saturday nights. Like, that's when I do a pop-up. That's it. I don't know. Sorry, it's like lost my train of thought there. But it's just I just made sure that I did what worked. So it's really easy to get caught up in what other people are doing. Like, you'll hear other people talk about how great they have their calendars are all booked up. I'm booked up every single day. Or people will talk about how many outfits they put together and all that stuff. And I don't have time for that because I need to sleep. At some point, I need to go to bed. So I have to make sure that I am balancing what's important for me. So I have to still go to work every day. I want to take care of Lularoe, and I want to take care of my family. So I think it's really important to find a strategy that works for you and works for your schedule. And for me, it was really important to also have a schedule. So I do my weekly sales always on the same night, and that way I know that if I'm planning for my sales going to be tomorrow, I always do this on the day before, I do this the day before that, and that way I'm not killing myself. So I think it's important to set schedules and do it the way you want to do it, and have a clear understanding of what your goal was. Like I said at the beginning, it was just to be able to, and now it's going really well. So I'm considering leaving my job. but I'm not mentally there yet. So I'm still going to continue doing what I'm doing until I'm ready.
That's great. And your husband has been like really, really supportive too. So, I think that's, another thing, like when you're working full time to like accept help, right?
Yeah, accept help all the time. I mean, at the beginning, he was pretty bad at it. I'm like, not going to lie. Like, he'd make mistakes and do whatever, but I just had to show him what to do. And I just had to really let go. And some of that's kind of hard for me, just to be like, okay, this isn't going to be totally perfect. He's not going to fold that shirt right. But, things get better at time. And people just, if someone wants to help you, accept the help. I mean, they're doing it probably because they love you. So, work together and make it a team thing.
Yes, that's a really good point. They love us, so they're helping us. We got to be easier on them, right?
Exactly.
All right. So, Kimmy, I know you're kind of like in and out, so is now a good time?
I'm actually reading scripts for our newscast tonight while I'm talking to you guys.
So Kimmy has a really awesome job. She is a TV news executive producer, works a lot, and sells Lularoe. She came on, was it August or September?
Yep.
Just doing phenomenal with her team building. So how do you find that you balance, you're doing a lot of stuff with your team, and then you've got your sales, and, how do you balance that and kind of like avoid comparing to others and, that kind of stuff?
I think you definitely need to be organized and set your own schedule. I think I had a hard time in the beginning. I work 55 to 60 hours a week at my real job. And so I was trying to do too much too fast, not sleeping a lot, and sleep is important. I definitely needed to set boundaries. I learned that it was okay to say no. Sometimes, especially in the beginning when you're building your business, you're trying to book everything, accommodate every customer, every request. And I finally figured out that I couldn't physically do that. I think it's important if you're working full time and doing Lularoe that you can be really successful, but you definitely have to set clear boundaries for not only your customers and your team, but yourself. I think it was Jillian Ortner who once said, you need to set an alarm to sleep, because I was not sleeping. And actually, I actually did it. If you have a clear, organized, set schedule, like I know that between 8 and 10 every morning, I'm having breakfast and hanging out with my kids. 8 to 10 every morning, that is my time to not be interrupted and not do Lularoe and not do my real job, and just spend time with my kids. And then my family knows it's between like 10 and noon before I go to work, because I work nights, that I'm working on Lularoe. I'm either doing stuff with my team, answering messages, taking pictures, organizing inventory, all of that kind of stuff. You need to find a schedule that works for you. If you don't set a schedule around your hours, then you're going to feel kind of chaotic and all over the place, and that can really not only hurt your business, your sales, your team building, etc. It can also hurt just you mentally, because you need a break, and you'll feel chaotic, and that's not what you need to run a successful business. So my biggest advice would be to find a schedule, stick to it when possible, and then don't try to compare yourself to people who do this full time. You physically can't do it. You can be just as successful, but you have to really work at finding the time to do it. A lot of times I'll see, someone can run, 3 pop-ups in a weekend outside the house and then 2 online a week. Well, I can't do that. I know that I can run my VIP sale on Sunday night. I can run a hosted pop-up online on Thursday night, and then I can probably have something in my house on Saturday or do an in-home on Saturday. That is the schedule that works for me. Sometimes it gets rough because I want to see the sales that other people are doing, but I also know that you can't push it. You have to respect yourself and give yourself a few boundaries so you don't get too overburdened or overwhelmed, because that's not going to help you build your team. It's not going to help you increase your sales. You need to be focused in order to do that. And if you're feeling all crazy and overwhelmed because you're doing too much, then that's not going to work. It's hard not to compare, but it would be the one thing I would definitely tell everyone to avoid.
Can you talk about like your why and sort of like how that drives what you do?
So, in the beginning, kind of like Thea, I didn't want to quit my job. So in the beginning, it was just kind of a fun side project because TV news can get kind of depressing sometimes. And my why was just to make a little extra money in the beginning, help some vacations, that kind of thing. And slowly over time, I started building a team, and I started seeing them succeed and change their lives. And, slowly it started really changing mine. I started looking towards possibly moving out of TV news and spending more time with my family and finding freedom from weird hours and working holidays and weekends. So at this point, like many of us, my family is my why, but more time with them and freedom with them has now become my why. And now I'm considering, as time goes along, either pulling back to do something part-time in TV news or maybe walking away entirely at some point.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, Teresa, it's your turn. Last but certainly not least.
I was muted.
Yeah, so just tell us about your story and your role. And I actually, you know what, I realized that I don't know when you started Lularoe, if you were thinking about leaving your job or just making it a fun side thing, or what your why was. So why don't you share that?
Sure. So like many people, and like Kimmy just said, when she started and when I started, it was not anything more than first dibs at shipments and maybe a couple extra bucks a month. I have done direct sales before that I was not successful with. A very successful company that I was not successful with. So I started just for like something to do. I didn't really realize at the time that I needed something for me. I've had a lot of aha moments since I've started. And I have a very good job with the Department of Defense. I am a logistics management specialist for nuclear Navy. So very similar to Megan's, except I manage nuclear parts. So it's also very similar to Lularoe, except it's nuclear parts and not clothing. So I had no intentions of leaving my job. My husband and I met at on our naval base, and it wasn't until, and I didn't have any intentions of starting a team either, but my team grew pretty rapidly, and I am very much motivated by money. And when I started to see the bonus checks come in and the sales come in, I thought, okay, I need to dedicate a little bit more time towards this. And I think that's the beauty of Lularoe, is that Lularoe works for you. You don't work for Lularoe. So you can make it whatever you want to make it. It really does pay you more to work more and to work harder. And I think that's something that I think a lot of new girls think that this is easy, quick money. And I always caution them, I'm working my tail off. I come home from my 40-hour-a-week job, and I work as soon as my kids go to bed until usually way too late. But I've actually done like Kimmy, and I've started making myself go to sleep. There was a while there that my eyes were so dry that they hurt, and I didn't realize it was because I was so tired. Like, it seems so silly, but I definitely sleep more. I do not sacrifice sleep anymore. But one of the biggest things for me was sacrifices. I know that when I have my goals set and I want to reach them, I will do anything that I can to reach them, but there are some things that I have to sacrifice. Sometimes that's time with my friends, and I have caught some heat from my friends with that. Sometimes I have to sacrifice a couple hours in the evening away from my kids, which is not my favorite thing to sacrifice, but I know that I'm doing it, and they see that I'm working hard to get us where we want to be as a family. And that has now evolved into me coming home, being a work-at-home mom, which I'm not sure I ever thought I would be, but again, motivated by money. And this is an excellent business, an excellent company to work for. I drank the Kool-Aid, so to speak, at every training. I qualified for crews within the first 3 months. And that changed everything for our business. Speaking with leaders on the cruise for my husband and I was life-changing, I guess is the right word. It got him on board, so I now have a partner in my business, which I can give him things like, I really don't like to print the shipping labels. I don't. So he'll do it, and he does it. So I don't have to pay somebody to do it. So I have a partner. So I guess finding support, making sacrifices. I took some notes down. Listening to your leaders is so important. That's how I started to become successful with my sales. My sales were always okay, but not great. So I started building my inventory. That's how we qualified for cruise last year. So that helped me immensely. I listened to everything that Kara said. Brandy Dorman, I went to like religiously every day. She probably wanted to block me. I listened to Jillian, Amanda, anybody, honestly, they don't even have to be in our upline. Like I will talk to people and just ask them what they're doing, because good ideas come from everywhere. So I feel like you can't go wrong to just communicate with people who are successful and surround yourself with people who are successful. So I don't think I got off track, Kara. What were the other things?
I was just, I think what's great is Teresa is being really, really frank about that this is hard work. And if you are somebody who is, looking up to those people, getting those big, big bonus checks, and that's something you want, there is sacrifice involved. There's going to be, I think they typically say there's about, 2 years in direct sales where you have to work your tail off before you're reaping those like huge, huge rewards. In Lularoe, it's probably a little bit less than 2 years from what we're seeing. But
Sarah, I have to say, when we talk about the comparison trap, like I'm always comparing myself to, and I'm not saying it's a good thing. There are things that I definitely like slap my wrist about comparing, but I will compare my bonus check to like others that Deanne is notorious now for asking people, what was your bonus check last year? What is it this year? And there was training this year with Sadie Thompson, and she said hers from last year at that time. And that was my amount from like that month this year. And I was like, holy crap, I can be there next year. And then I was like, it's on, like, that's my new goal. Like,
so there's good comparison sometimes. So if you can let it drive you,
right. You can't let it knock you down. That's, I think, what you have to recognize, that maybe difference. I don't always think that comparison is a bad thing, because to me, I'm very competitive. Not that we're in competition with each other, but I want what they have. Like, I want to get there. So what can I do that sets me apart from them, but also makes me successful? And I think that's just part of me. That's just in me. So
yeah. So I think, for everybody, like working full time or not, it's like thinking it's, Kenny and Art always say that your why is going to drive your success in this business. And you always need to, go back to your why, think about your why, connect to your why, and let your customers know your why. Because, when you are connected with your why, like you're going to know what you want out of your business and be able to, work accordingly. So if you, want to leave your job and you want to be the big breadwinner in your family, and, be working towards the top, like you're going to realize this is work. None of those people got there without doing work. And it's amazing. What's really incredible is I went on the coaches retreat last December, and there were, I think, just under 25 of us. So, so those were all the people that made coach in 2015. And I could be wrong, but I don't think that there was anybody at that time that was working full time out of the house that had also made coach that year. Maybe one or two, I'm not sure. But now there are lots of people making coach that work full time. So it just shows you that, it's a lot of work, but it totally can be done. And that all these people joining our business is a great thing, because more people know about Lularoe. There's just so much more potential, more clothes being made, all of that, which is helping all of us. And it's, helping those people grow their own businesses, because, just greater recognition and more experiences to lean on and all of that. But, if you, I want everyone to know it's perfectly okay, because if you don't want to leave your job, if you just want to do this, I don't want to say, I hate to call it I don't want to ever call it a hobby, because it's not. It definitely requires work. But if you just want it as a part-time job, and you are, real and honest with yourself, hey, self, I can commit to, one live party a week and one online sale a week, or whatever it is. And, knowing that that's what's going to be right for your family, because your goal is to make this much extra money a year to either pay off some debt or go on a vacation, and like that's what you want to do, that's great. I think there's so much potential here, just for that. And there are so many more women that are doing that, women and men who are doing that now too. So it's just all about like thinking about what you want out of this and letting that drive your business and your efforts, and hopefully finding those like-minded people, people that are sort of in your shoes that you can, if you're going to compare yourself to someone, find the people that are in your situation that you can relate to. So do you guys what else do you guys have? Or if people have questions, you can feel free to unmute yourself and ask, or you can type them. So Miranda says, sacrifice equals success is one of my key sayings. Your why has to also be bigger than your motivation, because your why is what you will fall back on when your motivation goes up and down. Keep your why high so you're always reaching towards it. I love that. So again, it's about, connecting to why you are doing this, and we're all going to have those ups and downs. I mean, I'm on the other, on the other side of this because I don't work full time. And I'm sure there are people out there who would say, those women that don't work full time, like they must have time for everything. I mean, we don't always, we've all got our situations and, kids and other responsibilities. So, we all have our challenges. And I think it's, really important to remember that we all have this in common too. So if you are comparing yourself to people,
I think it's important to also, like, as I'm thinking about transitioning out of my full-time job, is to realize that I'm not going to have 40 extra hours a week. Like, I've got a 2.5, almost 3-year-old and a 15-month-old. This is by no means me getting more time.
We'll be on the same page. We'll be like same schedule.
So, like, I'm almost like, my husband and I just joked the other night because we were talking about, I won't be leaving my job, 1, until we close on our new house, and 2, until we close on our house that we're selling now. But I was like, man, I might need to go back to work to catch a break, because I think like I'll be so immersed in Lularoe all the time because it'll be here, that it's going to be harder for me, I think, to set boundaries from my kids than it is for me to set boundaries from my full-time job. Because, I mean, let's be honest, there's ways I can get my Facebook messages during the day, and it is distracting. So boundaries is so huge. And just within the last 2 weeks, I typed up this email. It was kind of spur of the moment, but I knew that I needed to do it. And I sent all of my directs an email, and I said, this has to happen for me. I don't consider this a step back. I consider it a leap forward, but I can only answer you from this time to this time. Because I get so, like, my husband gets mad at me when the kids are still awake, and I'm like this. He's like, your face is always in that phone. And I get sidetracked at work sometimes, which is not good. And so I had to set boundaries with my team. The next step for me is going to be setting real boundaries with my customers, because they can be a little, let's be honest, they can be a little pushy. And it's important to realize, the earlier you realize, I think, the better, that you don't have to bow down to every request. You don't have to answer everyone within 5 minutes. You don't have to go look for someone's unicorn. That is not our business. And I think the sooner you realize those things and what a real business is, the better you will be, the more healthy, mentally stable you'll be, because you won't be always trying to answer questions, and the stronger your business will be.
Yeah, definitely. You're talking, scheduling and treating it like a business, and not just like a, a free for all for like, finding unicorns or get me this, tell me this right now, So yeah, setting those boundaries, telling your customers, like, when they ask, do you have this, no, but check my online sale, and I do an online sale every Monday or whatever it is. So you can tell them, and you have that consistency.
Right.
I just noticed. So Ricky has a comment about everything she has going on, work and grad school and a 2-year-old. And she feels like she's crazy. I think we all, and Ricky, I know you're in the queue. I think we all felt crazy when we started this, right? Like, what am I doing?
Oh, absolutely.
I think we still feel crazy sometimes, or crazy lucky, right? But yeah, it's totally normal because to feel that way, I think, because there's nothing else like this. I mean, when I started, I said, I'm never going to have a team. No one else is ever going to spend, $5,000 on a room full of clothes. Like, this is just crazy. well, here we are, like many people later. So,
and I think there too, Carrie, you need to rely on your upline, your sponsor. If you come to those moments where you're literally on the verge of tears, which I have been in those moments more times than I care to share, you need to just take a minute, talk to somebody who's done this before, because I'm sure that I know that I've felt it. So if you guys want to ever message me and tell me you're having a mental breakdown, go ahead, because I've been there and I know that your sponsor's been there. It's totally normal because this is crazy. The hashtag is you can't make this stuff up. It's so true. Like there is crazy, this business is exploding. And it is overwhelming sometimes, and it's okay to be overwhelmed. And that's when you need to reevaluate. What's your why? Why are you really doing this? Is it to be happy? Because right now you're crying in a puddle of tears. That's not happy. Like you need to just knock it down a notch. My husband actually does that for me. He'll be like, put your phone down, turn it on airplane mode. It's time to reevaluate. And it's happened. Like it's been a whirlwind of 8 or 9 months. So don't feel like you can't go to your sponsor and tell them that. That's why they're here.
Can any of you touch on how do you network and grow your customer base if you feel like you don't have time to network, you know? Like, because, you know, your day consists of like going to work and, you know, doing your personal things and going home. Like if you feel like you're not in places where you're meeting a lot of new people.
Well, I would say wear Lularoe to work. I mean, I have a handful of customers now that, you know, are people that just saw me wearing Cassie skirts, Nicole dresses, Amelia's to work and asked me where I got them. And, you know, I just give them a business card and say, like, you know, I try very hard to, like, make it clear that I keep it separate from work. But, you know, join my Facebook group, whatever. Just on the way out the door at the soccer complex today, somebody walking in to watch someone else's game was wearing Lularoe leggings, and I just stopped her and said, oh, you know, love your Lularoe leggings, like, who's your local consultant? You know, I didn't recognize her name, but Teamworks is right in Northborough, which is right near Worcester, and where a lot of people on Kara's team are, so I thought I might recognize the person's name. I didn't, but she was like, oh, I know you guys all have different stuff, give me your card. And so just like when you see people wearing it, which doesn't really happen that often, I guess, but say
because
something.
we're not saturated yet.
Right, exactly. I mean, I was going to say when you see people wearing it, say something, but I think that might be the first or second time I've ever, like, seen it in the wild kind of thing. But even if you see someone wearing patterned leggings that you recognize aren't Lularoe, or someone wearing, like, a funky patterned T-shirt or something, just say, like, oh, I like your shirt. Have you heard of Lularoe? It's a brand that makes clothing a lot like that. I was giving a briefing or a presentation, briefing is a government word, at work the other day, and one of the people that I was presenting to was wearing a Cassie skirt, and I like saw that she was wearing a Cassie skirt. It wouldn't have been like appropriate for me to say anything to her, but she actually said something to my colleague, and because I was wearing a Nicole dress, she said, is she wearing Lularoe? And my colleague, who, you know, is like jeans and t-shirt all the time, she was like, well, that's a really good guess. I have no idea, but I know she sells it, so probably. And after the fact, I said to my coworker, who was wearing like a patterned like t-shirt, just had like a Henley, it had a few buttons, and I was like, you're basically wearing Lularoe. Like, you act like it's so far out of your lane, but like you pretty much have it on. And she was just like, oh, I don't know. And so just, I mean, when you see people wearing stuff that it's complimentary of what Lularoe has to offer, just throw them a compliment and tell them about Lularoe. And if you're not comfortable like pushing Lularoe on them, just start throwing around compliments like that. That's, everybody likes a good compliment. So to say to someone, oh, I love your shirt. And, you know, the more often you throw around those compliments, maybe you'll just get more comfortable throwing that extra one line, or like, oh, it reminds me of this brand Lularoe. Have you heard of it? And
it's funny you said that, because I think Kenny or Jordan actually did this exercise in Tampa last week where they called a couple people on stage. It was Jordan, and he, you know, basically gave them compliments, and it was an exercise in like kind of showing how it then kind of makes people taken aback a little bit, but, you know, also like willing to hear what you are going to say next, you know, that sort of thing. So, you know, he, you know, gave that advice to compliment people in order to start a conversation, obviously in a genuine way, but I think that,
right.
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
When I first started, I did that. I just tried to, like, if I walked by someone at work, I would just compliment them, and it helped me get uncomfortable, to the point where now I can get uncomfortable anytime. So I would just like, oh, I love the way you cut your hair. Just find something, 1 to 5 compliments a day. It'll help you get out of that mindset of you're in this box and you don't need to talk to people when you walk by them. Just lead with a smile is another thing. Always smile, and it freaks people out. But it seriously works. They
Especially
smile.
like in the Northeast, right?
Yeah, just smile. They smile back. And the other thing that I do is I have to take leave. I'm a government employee, but I do lunchtime pop-ups on my Navy base. And now there are 2 Lularoe consultants now on my base, me and someone else, and she's not on my team. We're just going to say that. And then, no, but she's doing very well. And she actually comes to my lunchtime pop-ups, which is pretty cool. So I have great network there. There's always those bulletin boards, at least on bases, that you can put up your business. It's not, so you have to be careful though. Make sure you're taking leave if you're working full time, especially for the government. But yeah, find those like little ways to do pop-ups. Do a lunchtime pop-up. I'm sure you can do it in the private sector a lot easier than I can.
Yeah. Another one I had in mind was giveaways, and this can go for anybody who wants to do networking, wrap up some of those leggings with a business card and, try to give them away when you're in Target or in the grocery store, to someone who you think would probably like them. And, you have that card and you just say, you know what, hey, I'm giving some gifts away today. I want you to have these. And, they're going to be like, what? I got to find out who this person is. They'll come to you.
One of the biggest things I hear right now from girls is, how do I get my group, my VIP group to be larger? But it doesn't happen overnight. And if you want a quality group and quality customers, you have to work at it. Slow and steady, I think, is the best way to grow that group. So when you have your pop-ups and you're checking somebody out, give them your card and say, hey, I have this Facebook group and I do weekly sales and I'd really love if you would join it. And if you know somebody else who would love it, can you get them to join too? I'm trying to build my customer base, but don't spam your friends. That's huge. But just mention it. Just casually mention it to everybody who checks out with you at a pop-up. It's a great way to grow your business. And just because most people don't know that we sell on Facebook that are new. They think we have websites.
It's only the old customers that think we only sell on Facebook, and they're like, what? Wait, you can do this in person too? I can go to a party? What?
I also did a lot of vendor events when I started, and it wasn't so much to sell anything, it was just to be comfortable talking about Lularoe and telling people about my group, and I gained a lot of customers that way. So they might not have bought things that day, but they came back later.
Yeah, that's another really good one. Yeah, and having your Facebook group on your business card, Sam says, to, make sure you're talking about it with everyone you meet at a pop-up. I'm going to say, too, I think, and some people, I know this is hard to hear for some people, but being open to doing in-person pop-ups. I know it seems like it would be easy. Hey, I work full-time. I'm going to do this part-time, and I'm just going to do it online. But Deanne has been really mentioning it a lot lately. So she's got these strong feelings about it. And, I'm here to pass that on. She really says, the other day on the coach's call, she and Kenny hinted, they threw in the word saturation when talking about online. I know we like to say we're not saturated, but that online market are people that are not necessarily only going to shop with you. But, when business is slow, it's really important to make the effort to make those connections in person. And that's really how you're going to introduce people to the product. And, especially I think for summertime, it's great to push, these in-home get-togethers because, how fast summer goes by when everyone's traveling and all of that. So, 3 months can go by and you didn't see your friends. So, that's kind of my push for people to do in-homes during the summer so that they, make that time to see their friends, and they're getting together and, it's not always about how many things you sell. It's about making people feel good. Hopefully you are selling, but hopefully people are having a good time and they're going to remember that and come back to you also. I think all of you who spoke tonight have a great in-home business as well as online. So
yep. My in-home drives my online sales.
Definitely.
I do way better in homes. I don't know. I thought I was really good at social media, but I do way better, like more consistently in my in-homes. And this month I backed off a little bit because I needed to be home with my kids a little more. And I feel like we got by with our online sales and we're doing just as well as we had the other months. But I personally, I love interacting with my girls and meeting new people. And that's what we're all about. We're about relationships, like Kara said. And I miss it. I only had a couple this month, and I usually do between 12 and 15 a month in home. And that's a lot. That's a lot of time away. But you get your clothes out the door. You don't have to invoice. You don't have to ship anything. You don't have to go to the post office. It's 4 hours done. Right?
So what do you do? Do you do them all on the weekends? Do you ever do them on weeknights? And do you just load the car the night before? Or what's your kind of plan for that?
It varies, but I started out just doing weekends, and then I was never seeing my kids because my kids are only awake for 2 hours when I get home from work. So I thought, okay, well, maybe I can just sacrifice a couple weeknights. And my husband has gotten really good at bedtime with 2 kids, which is another bonus to doing weeknight parties and being away. So I started booking weeknights. And that's the other thing is you control your calendar and not somebody else. So you tell them when you're available. And if they want it that bad, they'll make it work. So I've started doing maybe 1 or 2 during the week and then only 1 on the weekend. I always block off at least 1 family day on the weekend. I have it already written out in my calendar all through the summer. So yeah, it started with just weekends. Then I tried a couple 2-a-days. So I'm basically gone all day when I do that on a weekend. But if I do a lot of weeknight parties that week, I won't have any weekend parties. And then I have the whole weekend with my family. So it's just kind of a give and take. It's what works for you. I mean, you run your calendar. Nobody else does. So.
But I'm just curious, what is your logistics for a weeknight pop-up?
So weeknight pop-up, I usually my husband handles pick up and drop off for daycare. So I leave my car pretty much empty unless I have to pick up the kids. But usually we pack everything up the night before. He loads my car for me, which is awesome. I have a lot of help. Don't get me wrong. We load it up the night before. I drive everything into work. I've never been stopped at the gate on the Navy base, which I think is pretty awesome. I'm waiting for that day when they make me unload 800, 900 pieces of clothing out of my car. And they're going to be like, what the hell? But no, I've never been stopped at the gate. I drive everything to work and then leave straight from work and go to my pop-ups. And I usually do about an hour and a half, pack up and get home around 9 o'clock.
That's great. I mean, I think, setting that time limit for a weeknight is really good too.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's hard not seeing my kids at night. That's probably the hardest part. But again, I have my eyes on what my goals are and they have never wavered. I know that where I want to be now and that it softens the blow a little bit, but I do know that my time with my kids is more quality now than it ever was because I have limited time with them. And soon it won't be limited. Soon I'm going to be like, can I please get out of the house?
Yeah, and there's some side conversations going on about mom guilt, which you just made a really great point. So you might have answered the question that realizing that your time with your kids is going to be better quality because you know that you're spending this other time providing for them. And, if you're making that schedule to turn off the Lularoe when you're with your kids.
Yeah, I mean, you have to find the balance and you have to make it work for you. And I know my she's going to be 3, so she doesn't totally get it, but she knows mommy's working and she knows that working hard is important. And she sees us working hard. And I think that's a very valuable lesson. I can't wait until she can start sticking labels on stuff. Then I'm really going to really put her to work. But I think it's important for them to see a working mom and dedicated and successful is huge, and
thinking about what you're providing for them.
Right. Yep. I made a post today on the Lioness page that got a lot of love. So thank you for all that. But I've never had a savings. Despite having an awesome job, I've never had a savings. And in 8 months, we have it now. I have my own savings of over $20,000 thanks to this business, which is just crazy to me. I still can't wrap my head around it. But now I know that I'm going to be able to do so many things that I never would have been able to do, or it would have taken me probably 10 years to get to this point where we're buying a new house, and like I can start thinking about taking our kids to Disney and like things that I thought maybe we'll do if we have the, if we have it and if it's in our plan, but in our budget, but we don't have to, like, it just takes that financial burden away, which is huge. It's such a huge thing, and you can focus on what's important. I never would have been able to provide those kinds of things for our family. Never.
I totally agree with you. That's what helps me with my mom guilt, that I wouldn't be able to even think about doing any of the things that I want to do if I wasn't doing Lularoe. So sometimes I can't put the kids to bed, and that's a sacrifice that I will take in order to do the things that I want to do, to do things that are like memory lasting, like going to Disney, or I took off a whole bunch of time like planning my pop-ups to make sure that we go to the zoo, we go to this place and that place. All this stuff costs money. Yeah. So, I mean, I wouldn't be able to do it as freely and as fun if it wasn't for Lularoe. So I understand where you're coming from. I have a 5-year-old and I have a 3-year-old, and it's hard, but they totally get it. I mean, Owen gets it. Owen is 5, and he like, nothing makes him more happy than being able to put the little size things on a hanger. Like, someone comes over and he's like, "Mommy, they didn't buy a skirt." I'm like, they're just my friend. they're not shopping today. But I think it's really important for them to see that you're working hard and that you're doing something, and then they also reap the benefits from it. If I didn't do all this work, we wouldn't be doing these awesome things. So,
do you guys have anything big planned? Vacations or anything?
Not really. This summer we're doing a lot of small things right now, but then we're probably going to be going to Barbados. My family's from Barbados, so we're going to be flying back to Barbados fairly soon.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
We have season tickets for Hershey Park, so we're doing that once a week pretty much this summer, which is awesome.
Cool. All right. So actually, I want to add one other thing. I think it was Miranda talking about reading for 10 to 15 minutes a day. I need to do that one. Like we, have more time on our schedule, but she's got 5 kids and she finds 10 to 15 minutes to read every day. So that's one of my goals, actually. I've got some of those, leadership books that Lularoe is always recommending. So, that's one of my
I listen to Audible on my commutes.
That's a good one
That's what I do.
Yeah. Audiobooks, great. So I think those things are just going to, help you drive into your why you're doing this and all of that. So we talked about scheduling and setting boundaries and like knowing your why you're doing this. Again, some of those whys are going to be bigger than others. It does not mean they are better than others. Everyone, can have a place doing this. So knowing that and letting it drive your workload, so that you can reach your goals and do what's right for you and your family and your situation. And we talked about, I wrote down smile, leading with a smile, complimenting people, I think this all also leads to like being proud of what you're doing. Like maybe it is your second job, your part-time job, but like, be proud of it, like show it off to people. It's not, second fiddle to your full-time job or anything like that. I think that is really important. So yeah, that's what I got. Any other last remarks?
I think I have one more thing that I wrote down and I didn't talk
never stop.
I had a glass of wine, so I'm a little fatty. But the one thing that I wrote down is that this business has become so much less about me and so much more about helping other people and helping other people realize their potential and their goals. And it's so empowering to do that. And we talk about servant leadership. And I really think that like there's so much you can do with this business that you can give back. Look at the Roy Lances. I mean, their story is amazing. But they're able to give back, and they're not thinking of what this money now or this business is doing for them. It's what they can do with it for other people. And I think that is in itself is just so empowering. And that is a lesson that I would never be able to teach my kids with my federal job. I know that because it sucks me dry. It sucks my soul. And I come home from there miserable, but I have this awesome thing waiting for me and these awesome people like all of you and all my customers. It's like a ray of sunshine on my rainy day after my 8 hours of the Navy. But anyway, I love my country. I just can't sit in a cubicle anymore is what I'm saying. But yeah, it's all about other people and what you can do for them. And that was the biggest thing that I wrote down and I didn't talk about. So I'll shut up now.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for shutting up.
Thank you for sharing.
I guess my last thought would be that this isn't just a job that's for people who are at home, that you can make this work with your schedule and do it the way you want to do it. You don't have to do it how anyone else does it, but Lularoe can definitely work for you.
Absolutely. The success stories and seeing so many, people of different, in different situations, succeeding at this. It's truly amazing. I would love to know stats. Like I would love to know what it's like in other direct sales businesses, but I think it's all like under wraps. I don't know if they'll ever tell us, but the number of people succeeding in the, so wait, actually, I know I said we were going to stop, but Bethany, are any of you concerned about leaving a career you trained for in order to work Lularoe full time? I think that's really important.
That was my fear. I felt like I worked doing histocompatibility for 13 years and I'm going to give it up for skirts, seriously. But, as time goes on, I just see how much this is doing for my family. And I know that, at the end of the day, I'm working for them and I want the best for my kids. And if, the lab's not going to do it for me, I found something else that will. So I don't necessarily need to give it up right now. I can probably cut back a little bit or whatever. And until I'm ready, I know that I have something that's really great waiting for me.
I think I think that is, really, key, just looking at that opportunity. Because what I was going to say is, I've been home, so it's a little bit different. I was an engineer. I actually gave that up for something else before I started Lularoe. I was in a little bit of a different situation because I wasn't really passionate about what I was doing. But I'm going to answer kind of for my husband because we are, trying to figure out what the point in time is where he would leave his job that he's obviously always worked full time since he graduated college. He's in technology sales and, we're going to be at a point where it would probably make sense for him to come home and work this business full time with me. I mean, he already works it a lot with me, but, to do it officially. And it is scary because I think about things like, well, what's going to happen? So what is our 5-year, 10-year plan? What if, who knows how far this is going to go? We think that we're being really responsible and saving a lot of money, but, let's say he's going to go back to the workforce someday. What did he show in being home for this time? And, going to the post office or whatever, doing invoices. But you know what? It's not that. I think if you, are considering giving up your job and making this your business, on any resume, running your own business and, putting the dollar amount on that business, that is huge. It doesn't matter if it's a corporate career that you trained for, or if it's just something that you're doing on your own, where you are also having this huge income opportunity. And as Teresa said, giving back and blessing lives. I think that is, we forget that we're not just selling skirts. We think that we're just selling skirts. We forget about this other part that is, totally worthy and a great dream to chase after and, be a part of. But, we talk about, so my husband and I talk about it a lot. He's like, well, how can I give up what I'm doing to do this? But I'd be stupid not to because the income potential and what it can do for our family is greater. So, it doesn't really matter what it is if you're doing it for your family and, you can be passionate about that. And
I had the exact same conversation with Al and my mom. It's you can't really worry about, I'm giving up a career. You're picking up a different career. You're going to be a business owner and there's a lot of responsibility for that. This is not you don't have something to put on your resume if you felt the need to.
You guys know that this is a hard job. You know that. So you know that it's a real job. It's not, just fluff that we call a job. We're making real money. If anyone gave you a hard time about it, they're probably not making as much money as you. What's real?
Yeah, show them a bonus check.
No kidding.
So,
I'm kind of scared, but I guess it's just because of change. I don't think I know that I could be successful with this business for at least 5 years. I'm hoping for much more than that, but I think if we continue on the path that we're on,
big long-term horizons.
yeah, no, huge. I agree 100%. And I'm not afraid of this not being successful. I'm more afraid of, and this is just my personality, what will people think? But then again, we have I don't know. I think you're always going to have someone who has an opinion of you, of me, and what I do. And you have to start making decisions for you and for your family, not from what other people will think. Gained a lot of self-confidence from this business, and that's going to see me through this decision because I know it's what's right for me and my family. And I really could care less what other people think, but it is in the back of my mind. I guess I shouldn't say I could care less, but I think you just have to know what's right for you, and it's scary. Any change is scary. It was scary to not write a check, but to spend that $5,300 when I signed up. That was scary as heck. And that's why I think I worked so hard. I think people that have the most to lose work the hardest to not lose at all. And yeah, so it's scary, but it's just scary because it's change. I know I can do anything now. So heck, I can sell skirts online. I can do it all. I can tie a knot.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
we are do-it-alls, and we are, what does Deanne say? We have to be learn-it-alls, right? So continue. I'll just throw that in there. Be a learn-it-all. Learn everything you can about this business if that's what you want to do. And, be comfortable with and just always be comfortable with why you came into this and what you want out of it. So thank you everyone for sharing, and thank you everyone for listening and helping us, with questions. And I hope that you got a lot out of it. And, feel free to follow up on our group boards and all of that. So yeah, thanks guys. Have a good night.
Bye.